Welcome to F1 Rolling Start with James and
Hey, I'm Ben.
we're so excited to talk about the most exciting race of 2025. It was surgical. It was wild. It was Japan. It was Suzuka. It was literally the most boring race
Such a Snoozefest.
Absolutely dreary.
Yeah, it was rough, man. I wake up early on Sunday mornings and I try to watch the races early Sunday. And so I was up and I had my coffee and I was going, and I'm just like, what is happening? It felt like there was no strategy. It kind of felt like the teams just decided to take the day off.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, what are we doing? This is just a freaking parade. There's no meaningful overtakes.
100%.
Now, of course, some of our, esteemed colleagues were like, no, there was overtakes. I'm like, what? Hamilton over Isaac?
Yeah.
That was like
a Ferrari taking
over
a Racing Bull. A 7-time world champion over a 3-race rookie. We're expecting that.
It's the GOAT overtaking the guy who would just move out of their way for him.
The GOAT overtaking the grasshopper. We're not surprised. Okay. 100%.
It was a snooze fest of a race, which is a bummer.
Super bummer
because this is a great track. It's a driver's track. It's
literally the drivers are like, this is my favorite track. This is my favorite track. This is my favorite track. The problem with it is that there was no jeopardy this year.
None.
Like, there was no rain. There was no first corner drama. There was nothing. And then on top of that, we didn't have tires that were different. The difference between the medium and the hard, Pirelli's new compound this year, it's like marginal.
Yeah.
And so there was no strategy involved because it was a guaranteed one stop. There was no need to do a two stop. And then some losers threw on the soft tires to try to do something, and it did absolutely nothing. It was atrocious.
Yeah, I feel like Stroll started with his soft, came in, and he was like, well, I guess I should just go home to my yacht now.
Mm-hmm. Correction, daddy's yacht, but yes.
Yeah, it was a bummer of a race. There were elements that were like, okay, this is great, and we'll get to those. But as a whole, for me, the most exciting part of the entire weekend was that the grass freaking kept catching on fire.
And that wasn't even on race day.
That wasn't even on race day. Did you see?
Not even race day.
A qualifying pre-show. I know I watched Sky and you watched F1, but the Sky Sports team, it was Ted and one of his colleagues, and they're over by the area where they're trying to water the grass. And there's literally the stewards or the racing personnel, and they've got a hose, like a garden hose that we would have, and they're filling up like cones, like the traffic cones. They're filling up buckets that you look like you would wash food in or vegetables.
They were not prepared for this.
There was zero preparation. It was like, no, when we cut the grass, it should be good. It's like, wait, hang on a second. There's been very little rain.
Correct.
The grass is just straw. It's like California.
It's literally dry. It's been a super dry winter for them.
Super dry. They cut the grass thinking that would prep, but I'm like, wait a second. These cars are essentially flamethrowers.
Correct.
Because they're freaking just spewing sparks on this grass. I'm like,
and it's not one car; it's 20 cars in the exact same spot, over and over and over and over again.
But there wasn't any like water trucks. There wasn't any like fire trucks. Obviously, like, I'm sure they got to go fight fires. But like,
no, it was 3 marshals with like Home Depot flame like retardant, just out there trying to do it with like hand extinguishers. It was embarrassing. And at one point, the flames just went like, and they just went out. It was just, and they picked up on F1 TV. I think it was James Hinchcliffe. He picks up some of the grass and he's like, just to show you what this looks like, it literally looked like straw, dry hay.
Yeah. I did not understand how ill prepared they were, considering how dry the conditions have been, and considering the fact that we've already seen this happen in China.
Yeah, exactly.
The grass catches fire when it's super dry because this is just what these cars do. So I don't know if it's the FIA or F1 or somebody needs to, in preparation for these weekends, say, hey, you need to have some freaking water trucks.
Yeah.
Watering the freaking lawn down.
You know what they actually need to do is they need to make a new rule at Suzuka. Not only do you water the grass, you need to water the track so we can have an actually amusing race on a Sunday. We just need to have, there needs to be guaranteed weather at Suzuka. Lap 5. You don't know. Only the race director knows. And it's like Hunger Games. They're just going to turn the rain on.
Phenomenal. They're
going to like release, lions into the field. Like something's got to happen because that race was abysmal.
There's got to be some jeopardy that is instilled because, and here's the thing. We don't have an issue saying the race sucked.
No.
I feel like some of our friends who are on the European side of following or, tracking Formula One, they have an issue just coming out and saying, yeah, that was terrible. Let's do better. They try to bring out the nuance and try to be like, well, there was this element and that element. And really like it was.
And the temperature was cold.
No, it sucked. It was a
terrible race.
Literally this last Super Bowl sucked.
It sucked.
Kansas City Chiefs.
And every show after it, everyone said, that sucked.
Because we're Americans and we can say, no, that was terrible. Do better. You're the best in the world at what you do. So guess what? Do better.
Yeah.
So
and that's why we have the greatest economy with the exception of this week. And we have
sorry, world.
It's the tariffs are gonna make it better, I promise you.
Somehow.
Just hiding my head in the sand because of my 401k.
What was good though about a weekend that sucked at Suzuka? What are some of the elements that you're like, that's interesting, or maybe we should follow that?
I think what's really cool is we are so lucky as Formula One fans right now to be witnessing history. You think back to Senna and Prost, Michael Schumacher and Ferrari, those times where we weren't watching Formula One.
No, we weren't.
And we look back and we go, man, there's something really cool when people go, do you remember? And I think what we're looking at here is like, we'll be sitting there with Henry and Augie and JMO, and they'll be like, Dad, my favorite historic driver is Max Verstappen. I'll be like, let me tell you a story.
Yeah.
Let me tell you about 2021.
Yeah.
Let me tell you about Suzuka in 2025. Let me tell you about he took a car that was trash. It was garbage.
Yeah.
Like, we're in the midst of greatness right now in this sport. And I think for me, that's what I saw. I saw Max Verstappen get out of pole, check. Stay in front of the big bad McLaren, lap 1, check.
Yep.
Flawless race, no mistake, in a car that just is begging you to take one pinky toe out of alignment to throw you off of the track itself. Check.
Yeah. Yeah.
Prolific.
That was the highlight of the entire weekend.
It was the only highlight.
That was the only highlight besides the fire. It was Max and his utter, in the most respectful way, godlike driving, where he had the fastest lap anyone has had at Suzuka. And in qualifying, it was surprising. McLaren had the fastest lap. I believe it was Oscar or Lando. And then Max, as the clock is expiring, just pulls out this unreal lap. And literally the drivers, Lando, Alonso, were like, he is the only one right now who can do that.
Alonso stood back and was like, you need to acknowledge this.
He is a man among men. Like he is, there's 20 of these guys.
Yes.
And right now, everyone is saying like, no driver among us could do what Max did this weekend.
100%.
And especially with the challenges that cars had. And some of the commentators I was listening to this weekend were saying, listen, this car has chewed up and spit out so many incredible drivers.
100%.
And Max is the only one who is a match for that car.
Exactly.
And that's what you saw this weekend.
Yeah. Max is inevitable. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
Like, when Thanos is like, I am inevitable, snaps his finger, except Max never gets the glove. The Infinity Stones are never taken from Max. Like, he is inevitable. Death taxes Max Verstappen.
Yes.
That's Formula One right now.
Yes.
There's nothing that can stop this guy. Even a car that is trash. Okay.
Yeah.
Which brings me to a question. Everyone keeps going, is it really such a bad car if Max can do what Max is doing with it?
It's a trash car.
As a Red Bull fan.
has created a trash car. And Christian Horner mentioned this in an interview earlier this week where he says, listen, we have tailored this car to one driver, and that driver is Max. Most other teams, they take feedback from both their drivers. And if you're a team like McLaren, if you're a team like Ferrari, if you're a team like Mercedes, where you've got a solid driver pairing, two really good drivers, they're both going to give you feedback, and you're going to tailor their cars so that both of them can drive it and find success. Red Bull hasn't done that. They have, this is the insanity. Like, Max won on his first race.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
of
crazy.
course they would tailor the car to Max. Of course Daniel Ricciardo ran from a fight. Of course Albon and Gasly and Checo and Liam couldn't hold a light next to this guy because he's otherworldly. So, but that's also the double side of that coin is, yes, Max has had a car that has allowed him to be a world champion, but it has also gutted every other driver since really the rise of Max. And that is now costing Red Bull. The constructors, we talked about this before, the constructors, they're not even close. No. They're not even close. But the Drivers' Championship, they are in contention. They are 1 point back from Lando because of Max.
They're not close now. However, if Yuki gets his feet together.
When you say gets his feet together, I'm going to push back. You've got Oscar and you've got Lando.
Push away.
You've got Oscar and Lando. Yep. They are way stronger pairing than Max and Yuki. You've got Russ and Kimi. They are a way stronger pairing collectively. Mm-hmm. You've got frickin' the Ferrari boys. Mm-hmm. Like the Yuki is not as strong as those other 6 drivers. So he is going to be struggling to get points. So I still think the constructors feels way out of reach for them. I mean, I could be wrong, but Max can't do it all.
The problem is that you have Antonelli still a rookie. Now, he's one of the greatest rookies we've seen in a really long time. But that does not mean that he's not going to have some rookie blues this season. Yuki may not be in as good of a car, but Max and the team over the last 2 weeks have put a massive amount of effort into making that car more balanced. They said that they've moved half of the internals around, including the springs in the suspension to make the car more balanced.
That's crazy.
They are doing everything that they can to make that car better because they want to make sure that Max goes from 4 to 5 world championships. But they also need, hear me, Ben, they need to be better this year. They cannot have a repeat as a constructor as they did last year.
I am afraid they still will. I know you mentioned Kimi. Kimi's in 5th place right now with 30 points.
Mm-hmm. It's crushing.
I mean, Yuki is in 14th with 3. He has 10% of the points of Kimi.
Yes.
Right? So, and this is where, Red Bull...
He hasn't changed teams, though. That's such an unfair comparison.
But Yuki has mileage. Yuki is not a rookie. Yuki
and he was
not
in a
3 races
car.
in. But this is what I'm saying, too, is the constructors, yes, Red Bull can't have a season like they had last year. I'm concerned. It's just pure math. They don't have 2 A-list drivers. They've got an A-list, and legitimately Yuki, I mean, he's probably like a C-list driver. Mm-hmm. I mean, Liam's like an F-list driver. So that's kind of where I'm at. But that's where I would push back and say, dude, I don't know, man. I don't know.
It's tough because you have Tsunoda who qualified really, half a second behind Max in Q2. First week in the car.
Yeah.
There's promise.
Oh, I mean.
And he had a bad qualifying.
Yeah. He is a better fit than Liam right now, for sure.
He just seems more comfortable in the car.
Well, and this is really interesting. There are some folks, when they step into more responsibility or when they step onto a bigger stage, it's somehow calms things that weren't calmed before.
Yeah, George Russell this season at Mercedes.
Right?
That's a prime example of that. Steps into the team leader role, and he's killing it.
Yeah. I mean, you look at Alex Albon. I know this weekend was a little emotional, but but that guy is a leader on that team.
Yep.
And he stepped into a bigger role, and he obviously has signs there, signs of struggling, but you feel like he's stepped into a new confidence.
Yeah.
And he's scoring points consistently. And so, yeah, I mean, Yuki definitely is in the right seat.
Yep.
I just don't think he is a second driver that's going to help Red Bull contend for a championship. Max, this weekend, Max threw the glove down and said, hey, let's stop worrying about the second seat. I am going to pull this team to another driver's championship. It's going to be a fight, but I'm the one that's going to do that. This Yuki ain't going to do that.
It's interesting because Red Bull, everyone's talking about the drivers' championship, and they're focused on the constructors' championship. The other side of the coin is that McLaren, everyone's talking about the drivers' championship, but they seem to be focused on constructors' championship only. I left this weekend going, guys, can we just remember that we all care about the drivers?
Yeah.
I'm way more interested in the drivers than I am of you guys landing number one as the constructor again. If you land number one as the constructor without a driver for 2 years in a row, what are we doing? Because Max is 1 point behind Lando right now.
Yeah.
1 point, Ben.
Yeah.
What's going on in McLaren?
Well, I think you're right. McLaren's partners would love for them to focus solely on the Constructors' Championship because that's where the money's at. But I want to go back to when Max won his first drivers. Do you think Toto was thinking about the Constructors' Championship in that moment?
No.
The Drivers' Championship.
That's where it's at.
That's where it's at.
That's
and I know there's no money attached to that.
But there's no money for the constructor attached to that. But why did Checo Perez hang out in that Red Bull seat for a long time? Because the driver brings their own sponsors as well.
They do.
And someone like Lando is established. Someone like Piastri, as good as he is, as a threat as he is to Lando, which we saw on Sunday, he's not as marketable as Lando yet. He's not as influential with brands. And so he needs this driver's championship to solidify him if he wants to go beyond McLaren.
Yeah. I mean, McLaren, I personally think they fell asleep on Max. They had the first two races this season, and I think they as a team underestimated Max. And here's the thing. You can never underestimate Max. You can't do it. But they did, and they paid for it in qualifying. They fell asleep in the race. They paid for it in the race. I mean, their boxing strategy, I didn't understand it. There was a moment where they tried to fake out Red Bull. Part of me thinks they probably just should have brought Lando in,
or kept him out. They should have done something.
They should, as soon as they followed Max into the pit, they were conceding the race.
100%.
And
I couldn't agree more.
That's where, to your point, I just think they fell asleep this weekend.
And the reality is that, okay, they wouldn't have lost anything had they had done either of those things.
Yeah.
Chuck was nowhere near them. He was never going to take a podium away from McLaren. He may have taken some points away from Norris, or he may, because they would have flipped with Piastri or him. But they should have just tried something. And then even if they had to at the end say, hey, we're going to try this crazy strategy, and if it doesn't work, we're going to flip you back in the results, because everyone else is so far behind you guys that it doesn't matter. I'm looking at them when they went right in after Max. Lando follows him in. I'm slapping my forehead going, what are you guys doing?
No, it was such a weird strategy call, and it felt like a resignation.
100%, especially when you think back to China and Norris was like, fresh air is worth everything. It's like 0.4 of a second in fresh air. Well, go on and rip out there, because apparently the tires don't care about being on the Suzuka track. It's brand new. The tires are brand new. They're just best buddies. They're just there's little kitten paws touching each other. There's no degradation. And they could have ripped Antonelli led the track on a pair of old,
Unreal.
used mediums for like
Yeah.
11 laps. Lando should have gone and tried anything.
It was a miss, and McLaren needs to learn from it.
Yeah.
They made a strategy error, and they weren't decisive, and they took the easy route out. They took the we're going to win the Constructors' Championship route.
Yes.
Let's have both these cars finish.
Yeah.
Oscar at one point was clearly faster than Lando. And now this is like the tension I think I have and we probably have as fans, where on the one hand, we don't want the team to call team orders. Want to let these guys race, right? On the other hand, there's a moment where I'm like, Oscar's clearly closer to Lando than Lando is to Max. So it looks like Oscar's faster. And it appears like he is. He was asking the team, he's like, hey, like, can I go after Max? And from over the radio, there is no like, hey, whole places. It seemed like they let them race. And again, if Oscar can't pass his teammate on the track, that's one thing. But this track is hard to pass on. So part of me just like, swap him, let him try to go after Max. And if he can't do it, then swap him back.
Yeah.
But they didn't do that.
No, they didn't do that. They didn't do anything. They were just there. And they started in 2 and 3 and they ended in 2 and 3. It was a processional and it felt like a funeral processional.
Yeah.
And the reality is that they do need to, as cute as it's been saying, we're going to let them race, they need to figure something out. Because what they did is they handed away very precious points in the drivers' championship.
They did.
And so for them as a team, it's a win.
Yeah.
It's a win. They're in 2 and 3. They're extended their lead as a constructor by leaps and bounds. But for the drivers,
yeah.
And what good is a constructor if the drivers don't feel like they're being taken into the equation?
Yeah, I mean, they had the constructors from last year. So right now in the team standings, McLaren is in first at 111 points. Mercedes has 75. Red Bull's got 61. So they're essentially double.
Max has 61. no, literally, Max has 61. Let's just take that into account. Max has 61 in a car that doesn't work.
But this is where the math comes in. Max is one driver, McLaren's got 2.
Correct.
So it's like, yeah, it would make sense that Red Bull's got half the points of McLaren. This is where McLaren has to decide right now, do we want our drivers to fight for the drivers' championship? Because if we do, we cannot be business as usual. We cannot be, hey, like we're just going to like, go out there and like not make the tough calls. Like you have to make the tough calls because guess what? Max is a no quarters kind of racer. There's no mercy with Max. Max is going to come out there like the freaking lion he is, and he's going to devour you.
Correct.
If you give him an inch, he will take a mile. And so as a team, if you want to do something different this year, and you want to check, Max is still the reigning world champion.
Correct.
Like
4 times in a row.
That hasn't stopped. He's still the guy. So if you want to take it to him, you have to do something different. And Suzuka was an example that McLaren, they
phoned it in, dude. They phoned it in. McLaren phoned it in on Sunday. And it was a big letdown. It was a big letdown.
Yeah, it really was.
Another person who was kind of a bit of a letdown this weekend was Ferrari. Ferrari were Saturday Lions and Sunday Kittens. Leclerc showed some solid pace. He looked good in qualifying. And then all of a sudden, Sunday rolls around and they just drop anchor and they just start falling back. I mean, Lewis overtook Isaac Hadjar from 8th to 7th. No one's surprised there.
I mean, Lewis shook Isaac's hand and Isaac lost his mind. Like,
yeah, exactly.
This is like the relationship these guys have right now, right? Like, so yeah.
Isaac was it's like a virgin on his wedding night. He's like, yeah, I look at us. Amazing. It was a bit of a high-speed silent disco from Ferrari. Like, where are you? You were expected to be the ones that were taking it to McLaren this year. Yeah. And so far, it's McLaren and Max nipping at their heels.
Yeah, I mean, Ferrari is not going to be happy with a 4th and 7th. They're not here for 4th and 7th. They're here for 1st and 2nd. They're here for 1st. They have said from the beginning, we are aiming at both championships.
Right. Right.
Data tells a story. Data doesn't lie. Right now, Ferrari is 4th with 35 points. McLaren again has 111. We're 3 races in.
We're 3 races in, and you have Chuck Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton as your drivers, and you have half as many points as Max Verstappen alone in a car that doesn't work. There's something fundamentally wrong. You know what Ferrari is doing right now? They are succeeding at underachieving. That's what they're doing. They are the C's get degrees of F1 at the moment. And that is something that's got to change. And we said it last week. If they don't figure this out before the end of this triple header, they are in a world of hurt.
Oh, they really are. I mean, we did after they had 2 disqualifications for different things.
Yes.
Last week, and we talked about that at length. They have to get a podium.
Correct.
Either 1 or 2 this triple header.
They need to win a race this triple header.
I'm being like generous, but you're right. Like
they need to win. There's nothing else in between them and their hopes of this year.
Dude,
they have to win. They have the drivers to do it.
They absolutely do. They have 25% of the points that McLaren has right now. I mean,
that is a sobering fact.
And again, McLaren, we gave them obviously a lot of grief. They still had 2nd and 3rd. They still had a huge haul of points this weekend, even though they didn't get 1st, even though Max bested them in that way. McLaren, you can fully expect them to have 2 podiums of the 3 for the foreseeable future.
Yes.
Like, that is almost an insurmountable odds for the Constructors' Championship. And so, like, Ferrari has got to break in there and box out McLaren. And right now, they're nowhere near that.
No, nowhere near. And as much as I say this is what they need to do, my main concern is that they just will not. They will not do it. And we will reach the next break.
Yeah.
And it will be tough. Now, they have 2 race car drivers in Hamilton and Leclerc, and they are going to Bahrain, which is going to be a great track for them to do some overtaking, even if they qualify bad. And it has shown glimmers of hope. And so my hope is that they do come into this weekend just out the gates jumping.
I do hope Bahrain levels the playing field a bit as far as us actually seeing some racing. Hopefully it's not impacted by outside forces like crazy weather. So I do hope that it kind of shows us where folks actually are at. Because right now it feels like we have a sense of obviously the fact that McLaren is strong, but I want to see Ferrari truly, and part of me is optimistic that we haven't seen that yet.
Right.
Part of me is terrified we already have.
That's where I'm at. I'm at, is Ferrari going to be defined by Lewis Hamilton's fluke win at a sprint race?
Yeah, God.
They have 5 points more than Kimi Antonelli right now as an entire team. And
oh my God.
They just have fumbled the ball.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's like they fumbled the ball and then the lights went out and they're in the dark searching for the ball.
Were our expectations too high? Were they always going to be too high? Did we just get too excited as like the fans of F1 that like, my God, Hamilton to Ferrari, Chuck, like,
no, because even outside of Hamilton, they went from 3rd to 2nd.
They did.
It's been a journey. It's not like they just popped up overnight.
Yeah.
This is not, and it's Ferrari. You should be there.
You should be.
You are the most well-funded team on the entire grid. You should be there.
Yeah. I mean, and we're also taking them at their word. They said, hey, we want both.
We will be there.
They
said we're going to win the championship this year.
Yeah.
Nothing short of that's what our goal is this year.
Well,
it's one thing to have a goal.
They have a very, very small window to turn it around. Like it's almost vanishing, which is
correct.
Terrifying.
Now it is a long season. We have 21 more races, but if McLaren
would have to lose their way,
and they may at race 9 with the rule changes. They may. But if Ferrari is waiting up until that point, you're right. It might be too late.
Whew.
Okay. Did you have anyone that surprised you on Sunday?
Who surprised me on Sunday? You know, I would say Isaac Hadjar surprised me on Sunday. Here's the reason why. This guy,
first points in F1.
He had obviously just a atrocious Australia.
Poor guy.
Atrocious. But then, you know, he comes back in China and like he, you know, just kind of settles down, gets his 2 feet planted under him, finishes the race. This guy was like fighting with Lewis Hamilton. He qualified higher than Lewis.
No, like he qualified higher than Lewis, Liam, and Yuki.
Just pause for a moment to be like, wait, where did this guy come from? And then obviously Lewis overtook him, but he only dropped 1 place. Now, there were others who dropped multiple places throughout the race. So he held his own against Lewis and then finishes an incredible finish. P8, like what? Like, oh my God. So, I mean, this guy, I when I was looking at the standings after the race was finished, I was like, wait, what is going on? This guy actually is showing up. And I know all the attention right now has been on Liam. It's been on Yuki. Obviously, Max brought the spotlight back onto himself this weekend. But let's talk about Isaac.
Yeah.
Like, if this guy keeps going in this way at this pace, like he should be in a conversation for a promotion by the end of the season.
100%.
Like if he's able to hold this up.
Yeah.
And my focus now is like, I want to see how he and Liam go at it.
Yeah.
Because clearly this guy has pace.
Yeah.
And that was surprising this weekend.
Yeah, that's the exciting story.
Who surprised you?
The person that surprised me was Ollie Behrman.
Yeah.
His qualifying to take that Haas and put it into Q3 was out of this world. And
we were nervous about Haas for a minute.
We were nervous. We still are kind of nervous.
Yep.
And I think for me, what really stood out about Ollie Behrman was this is this kid's first time racing this track.
Yeah, that's phenomenal.
And he takes a car that even Ayo Komatsu, the team leader, we were not expecting to be in Q3. And he plants it there and phenomenal. Stays there.
Yeah, I mean, Ollie Behrman's one of those guys. He's a special racer. We saw that last year when he jumped in the Ferrari, got maiden points. I was nervous with Ocon as his teammate at Haas.
Right.
Because Ocon historically has not been a great teammate.
Right.
And he's kind of found a way to butt heads with every teammate he's had. But I think the Behrman's going to be fine.
Oh, yeah, the Behrman's
like this guy's got pace. And like Ocon, I think he finished in like 18th or something. Like
it was bad.
And so, yeah, a wonderful surprise. And these rookies, God, these rookies are showing up.
100%.
And they're fighting with the big boys.
Yeah. Who's your gal, your go to the week?
I mean,
the greatest of all week. Was it Yuki Tsunoda like the fans chose? Was Yuki Tsunoda your driver of the week?
So I loved that in Japan, Yuki got the vote. It's a tip of the hat, you know.
It is a tip of the hat to the little home Grand Prix.
It's like, okay. Yuki was not the driver of the day. Yuki was not my greatest of the week. It was Max.
Max. Had to be Max.
And we've eulogized about Max, but I think the only other thing I'll add to what we've already said at length is God, there's something special about Max.
Yeah.
And, you know, Max is a racer's racer. He is speaking a different language. He is on another level.
Yes.
He is interstellar in a way
100%.
where there are even, and you saw this weekend where Red Bull is embroiled in this second driver and the drama of it, and like Yuki versus Liam and Max. There was a question that someone asked, and he's like, "Yeah, that doesn't matter. I don't care about that."
Right.
Like Max knows what he's here to do, and he is here to win a 5th straight drivers' championship. And,
yes,
and he, through his actions, the entire weekend said, "Team, circle up on me. Let's go win."
Yeah.
And like that's leadership, but it's also just like he's flying above the noise.
Yeah.
And Max has always been that way, which I just love about him. He like doesn't get, even when like his dad and Horn Dog were going at it last year and he was like getting pulled between like his father and his team principal, he found a way to navigate that space so gracefully, but so like, I am here to do this. I'm not here to do this. I'm here to do this. And so this weekend was just like a master class in 100%. Max. Yeah. It was just like, God, this guy, I thought he was out of it, and he's in it to win it.
I didn't even think Max was going to be in the top 5 this weekend. I thought Ferrari was going to come back.
I think initially, or the team.
On Friday, he was like, there's no way I'm going to win this thing.
Yeah.
And for him to get his first win of 2025, third race in, 4th time he's won straight at Suzuka.
8th time Red Bull has won at this track.
It is something amazing to behold.
Yeah.
What he did to that car to make it do what it did. And even him on his qualifying lap said, I didn't think the car was going to stick the way that it was sticking to the track. He was sending it.
Yeah.
And in the race, he was just mega calm.
Yeah.
And McLaren did everything, including Lando Norris turning his $1 million F1 car into a lawnmower to try to get ahead of him.
Yes.
The only foot that Max put wrong wasn't his foot. It was his team. They did a 3.3 second pit stop with Norris in front of him, who did a 2.1. They lost a second in the pit stop.
And Max still got out ahead.
And Max still got out ahead and still made sure that he pushed Norris into the lawn and won the race. It is something.
He kept his line straight. I kept watching to be like, is he veering him off? And I was like,
which is funny because earlier that weekend, George Russell tried to overtake him in the pit lane and Max psyched him out, literally like twisted the steering wheel, and Russell was like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry about that. And he like slammed his brakes on and went over into the dust. And Lando just tried to keep his foot in it. It's just amazing.
No, it was incredible. It was incredible. But I mean, Max, it was incredible to see him back in that form. And it just, it's going to be a Max, Oscar, Lando fight to the end.
Yeah.
And it was good to see him back in winning ways.
100%. So he is the guy of the week for the F1 Rolling Start podcast. Is Max Verstappen. Now let's talk Snoozefest parade.
Yeah. Normally we talk about teams. Do you have any teams you want to throw in this Snoozefest?
I have 3 in there always, but whether or not we want to talk about them is...
Well, I mean, the real Snoozefest was the track. It
100%.
It was the entire weekend. It was the challenges the drivers had to race. And we talked about this a bit at the beginning, but another element I want to throw in here is we're watching a race.
Yeah.
Right? We're not watching cars go around in a circle following each other.
Right.
And so a race did not happen this weekend. And whenever you show up to watch something, you have an expectation that I know what I'm getting myself into. I'm going to watch a race. That wasn't what happened. We watched cars follow each other around. This was it, and I forgot this. At the very end, the top 3 cars, they were only separated by 2 seconds, but it felt like 2 minutes.
100%.
Because there was no way they could close a 2-second gap between 3 cars.
Yeah.
And so there's something fundamentally wrong. And I know there's been questions about, is it the regs? Yeah. Is it these cars as they're designed that they just can't actually go racing? Do we need to wait till 2026 to actually see like consistent overtaking and racing? I mean, some of the commentators today were even saying like, are we in for the next several races where we're not really going to see good racing? That's a problem.
Very big problem.
I'm hoping 2026 and the difference in regs fixes that, but it was tough, and the whole race was a snooze fest today.
Yeah, it was unfortunate. Ted Kravis was like, I think the best way to watch this race is to look at the highlights.
Yes.
Laura Winto
said 2 highlights.
Said you can watch the highlights. It'll probably be the shortest highlights of the entire season. The drivers themselves in the cool down room when the highlights ended, Oscar Piastri goes, "Wait, that's it?"
Yes.
Because there was nothing that happened in that race.
Oscar was like, "Yeah, there was nothing that happened." All of a sudden, like, turn that off. Like,
we had
back. Yeah,
we had a couple of genuine overtakes, like very few, mainly teams swapping positions.
Yeah,
and a processional.
Yeah,
it was bad. It was a new Monaco.
And there was even reference using Monaco language.
Yeah, which is, for me, I'm done. I don't need another Monaco.
We barely
I already
okay
hate
with
Monaco
being what it is.
Everyone was saying, "Oh man, qualifying was amazing." Yes. I only need one of those a year.
Yes.
Let's just call a spade a spade.
Yeah.
It's a boring race.
Yes. A weekend is supposed to ascend. It's supposed to build.
Yes.
It's supposed to go from, the free practices to the qualifying, and the penultimate activity needs to be the race.
Yes.
When you go like, we're going up to qualifying and then down to the race, it's like, wait, no. You've missed the entire point of how a weekend's supposed to function.
Yes.
And I do not want to have the most exciting thing be on a Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Monaco, we tolerate that.
Correct.
Because of the fact of like the wealth and the deals that get closed.
It's the jewel of the crown, blah, blah, blah.
This
we're going to make it better racing. We're going to widen it out. We're going to put more land. Okay, whatever. But I only need one of those.
Yes.
And Suzuka historically has had turmoil, crashes at the first corner, rain, weather, all kinds of stuff.
Yep.
This year, it wasn't. And that is unfortunate. And I would even argue unacceptable. There was really only one overtaking spot.
Yeah. They would have to like tear the track apart and build new sections.
They're not going to do that.
No, of course not. But here's the thing, though. We shouldn't have to have a track that is weather dependent to add an element of risk or to add an element of like suspense.
And that's why the American tracks are the best tracks.
Because take that, Europe.
Yeah. Maybe not Miami, but every other, like Austin
Vegas
is incredible. Vegas is phenomenal. And, these historic tracks are amazing and they're beautiful and the drivers do love them 100%. But we're looking at the outside of it and imagine being gifted a Lamborghini.
Mm-hmm.
And you press the button and it unlocks. You open the door and you're like, oh my gosh, it's got the crazy Lamborghini doors. Yeah, you get inside and it's like, it's the Italian leather. It's pleated. It smells like leather. You press the engine turn on button. Nothing happens because it's missing an engine. That's the Suzuka racetrack. It was a total tease all the way through Saturday to absolutely nothing on Sunday.
Yeah.
With the exception of Max Verstappen putting in an amazing race. Okay.
Does it? It was all bark and zero bite.
Yes.
And so it felt very empty, which is why it was my Snoozefest. You have some teams that you threw
I
under
feel
there.
like they're...
Talk to us about the teams.
So there were 3 teams on Sunday that served up a cup full of NyQuil to me. First team was Aston Martin. Where are they?
I don't know. I don't think they know.
Alonso lived in the realm of mediocrity in P11.
Yeah.
Couldn't go forward. Didn't go back. Stroll was invisible. Like, he might as well not have come.
Yeah. I mean, he finished in 20th.
Yep. And I'm like, are you guys just done for all of 2025? Like, are you just focused on 2026?
I mean, there's already a lot of commentators who are suggesting that their sole focus has shifted already, which we still have 20 races to
21.
go? 21 races to go. And you're just gonna
you're gonna
tap out?
I'm done.
You've got Alonso.
Like, now your entire team is giving Lance Stroll energy. Oh, I'm giving up. Giving up.
I mean, here's the frustrating thing too, is like, it's not like they don't have some points. They don't have a lot, and they're in 7th, which is a bummer because Haas and Williams are ahead of them.
Right.
Do you remember when
the ultimate fear,
when Alonso was the only other person getting on a podium besides the Red Bulls?
Do you remember Alonso and Max were in like championship contention?
I mean, they went from that to what we saw last season.
Yes.
To now Haas and Williams are ahead of you.
Correct.
By a decent margin at this point. Williams has double the points you have. Haas has 15 and you have 10. Like,
yes.
This isn't like, oh, we're, figuring things out. This is like hit the freaking panic button and get Adrian Newey to the track.
Yep.
And have him, like, I know he's focused on 2026. I know, but Adrian, just
please look at the car for my sake. Give me anything.
Give me a week of looking at this car and analyzing and giving something to our team to work on to try to figure this out. It can't get any worse than this.
No.
Haas is in front of you. Williams is in front of you. These teams are putting up a fight. There's tens of millions of dollars to be had. Freaking throw Adrian Newey back. Like, literally, the commentators today were like, when is Adrian going to show up on the track and just like have a one over on this car?
Literally.
But no, they're not going to do that. And they're, Snoozefest parade for these twos.
Yeah, it was so bad.
Yeah. It was
Lance qualified P20. Lance qualified
the new Liam
20.
And he ended P20.
He's the new Liam that will never get fired. And
the injustice.
The injustice reigns. It's just interesting to me because they have promise.
They have money.
And they've thrown it away. I mean, there's apparently Daddy Stroll is siphoning off pieces of the company and selling more chunks of the Aston Martin brand. We don't know if that's for a profit or not, or just because he's like, this might be a failing ship. There's so much invested into it. They have so much more investment than Williams, yet Williams has so much more performance than them. And that doesn't make any sense.
It literally and it's not like Aston Martin is like the sexy team, right?
Yeah, 100%.
They're like,
they
should be like that, just sexy team. Williams is the nerd herd.
100%.
Literally, Williams is the Office if it was an F1 team. Like, I'm half expecting Michael Scott to be on the freaking, the pit lane. It's just, that is what the Williams energy is.
100%.
And Williams is besting them.
100%.
And again, Haas, they're like, we don't know what's going on. Our cars got significant issues, and Haas is besting them.
Yeah.
So, if it's not panic mode at Aston Martin, then it absolutely needs to be.
Yeah. My other snooze fester is Alpine because it's for yet another weekend in a row, no points. Only team out of all of the teams to not have any points here. It was just chaos. Gasly in P13 doing this week. Yeeted his car into the wall. 180 miles an hour. Boom.
I don't know how he walked away without a concussion or
broken rib cage. That was wild. And it was his fault.
It was.
He left the DRS open and had it pinned, had the accelerator pinned to the floor.
Do you know why he left it open? Because that's how he'd been practicing in the simulator.
No way.
Yes.
With the DRS open?
He was cutting corners in the simulator, and that was where his muscle memory was.
Shut up.
Yep. That was Sky Sports.
Are you serious?
Absolutely. They're saying he's been doing this in the simulator, and you just get muscle memory. And in these moments when you're going that fast, you have so many things to focus on, you'll revert to muscle memory.
That's wild. I wonder if we'll get muscle memory when we go to World of Racing and try and simulate it for the first time.
I'm like, there's a part of me that's so nervous because I'm just like, wait a second. I'm like going to be so bad. I went actual racing and was okay once. But
K1, you went K1 Speedway.
K1.
This is going to be so different.
So much different. But like, I want to be good. I want to beat you. But
my gosh,
I have no idea.
I'm so competitive. I want to beat you too. We're going to hang out with our friends at World of Racing. Yeah. They do something really cool every Tuesday night after the race, which is obviously this Tuesday in 2 days.
Yeah.
Here in Southern California, Pasadena and Tustin, you can go and do the Suzuka track in the F1 cars from this season, which is pretty amazing.
It feels like too much of a track to start with. I don't.
It's a lot. It's a lot to start with.
Can we start with like Monaco or something, just like a little parade, like? But I mean, it's incredible.
They ease you into it. They have like a full driver's briefing.
Oh my
God. You get to do qualifying, all of it.
Yeah.
And so you get tips and tricks. You got like a little coach there kind of giving you some suggestions the whole time. It's an amazing experience.
I'm stoked to do it. It's going to be great. We're going to record some videos of us actually racing.
Yeah.
So folks can see it. But all the more to talk about how radically important simulator
100%.
racing is like,
Yeah.
he preached how he practiced, and he was practicing the wrong way.
Yes.
And so literally he gets up there and like, I mean, you think every mechanic who had to work through the night to fix that car would have been like, bro, when you're in the simulator, just next time, freaking turn the DRS off.
Exactly.
Like, when you're
but also, what kind of a simulator? Alpine would have a simulator that when you don't turn DRS off, you can make the first corner at Suzuka with 0 downforce on the back of your tires. Like, come on, dude.
I know. Alpine would have
That's
a simulator
out of control.
that literally like puts their teams on the podium every single time to give them motivation.
Gasly's getting to the end. I don't understand why I'm not up there with Max.
Remember that time in the Netherlands when we like double podium?
You told me I'd be fighting with Red Bull.
Dude, here's the crazy thing though with Alpine. To your point, like, dude, Alpine,
I just destroyed my seat.
Yeah, fix your seat real quick.
Okay. We're good.
For those of you who just listened to us on the audio, we are sitting in car seats that are super comfy.
Yeah, and you should be watching.
You should be watching because hello. But to the points piece here, Kick has 6 points.
Yeah.
And Alpine has 0. In what universe will we be like, oh yeah, no, Kick, they're going to be like 6 points ahead of Alpine?
None.
It just
none. Even with the abysmal performance that Alpine has had over the last few years, Kick, Sauber,
it's insane, dude. I mean,
literally the team that's been phoning it in until Audi comes back.
They're just like, hey, we're just gonna like keep showing up and hope something good happens.
They keep accidentally showing up to F2 weekends, not realizing that they're an F1 team. Like, that's how bad Kick is.
Dude,
Hulkenberg thought he was doing the Tour de France or something, and he realized he was in an F1 car.
Dude, here's my question on the Alpine front. With how bad they've been and with the significant amount of money Jack Doohan just cost the team, like, what? There's already such pressure on this dude, and like, you don't want like another Liam Lawson kind of incident where like you get bumped, because in Jack Doohan's case, you're done in F1. There's no sister team.
I think a more apt.
Like, how much longer does this guy have?
That's a great question. How much longer does Jack Doohan have? And I think that is a question many people are asking, because not only is he not performing, and look, him and Gasly finished a place apart. So he was there on Sunday.
Him. It's the car. It's
for
the
sure.
team.
The problem is that you need somebody who is outperforming that car. And so
you need a Max, and there's only one of those.
Exactly. The problem with Jack Doohan, you can't compare him to Liam, because Liam had a team to fall back on.
Yes.
Who you can compare him to is Logan Sargent. Because Logan Sargent had a reserve driver at Williams called Franco Colapinto. Jack Doohan has a reserve driver at Alpine called Franco Colapinto. And if you don't think that was strategy on the team's part to cover their bases, then I'll just tell you, like any American would, you're an idiot. This is what will happen if Jack Doohan is going to continue costing them an insane amount of money, which they don't really have. And then on top of that, underperform, then he's going to get removed from the team.
Well, he is. And it's not just that they don't have it. They have no prospects of really getting money this year. Like, you get money for every place up the order in the championship.
In dead last.
They are in dead last.
You know how much money you get?
Points.
0.
Dude, literally, like, they are in the worst possible situation to have anything go wrong.
Your Haas 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years
Ryan
ago, 6
Reynolds
years ago.
is really wishing he would have picked a different team.
He should, and that's my bone to pick with him. Why didn't he pick Haas?
That's the American team.
Like, bro, I know you're Canadian.
There it is.
Yeah, that's what it is. He likes
Canadian.
communism. So he's kind of like going more into those things. All right, let's jump out of Snoozefest and let's go to F2 Team of the Week. We already talked about it a little bit. Look,
we did. We talked about Aston.
It's Aston Martin.
Yeah, I have nothing else to say about these dudes, man. I mean, like, besides the fact that consequences mean nothing in Aston, and they need to get Adrian Newey to the track as soon as they can, and also just, have they fought? Like, one last question I have is, where did the pace and the development go? Did they just get into a development cul-de-sac and never find their way out of it? Like, How in such a short period of time have they gotten themselves into just this colossal cluster?
I don't know. I can't answer that because 2023, they were destroying the midfield. They were pushing into the top of the field.
Yeah.
They were better than Mercedes for a long period of time. They were kicking Ferrari for a while. Like, they were taking it to Red Bull cars, at least.
Yes.
If not Max.
Yes, they were.
And now the vibe's dead. The car is completely asleep.
Yeah.
And Alonso can't carry this team forever.
No.
And if I were him, I would just be exhausted. Well, number one, it was good to see him finish a race.
Yeah, first time
this season. That's a fun fact. You know what Alonso's like? You remember doing group projects in high school?
Yeah.
And carrying the weight of the entire project?
I'm that kind of guy.
Yeah, that's Alonso.
Yeah.
Alonso carried the weight of that entire project. Everyone else is there. They're phoning it in. They're trying their hardest, so they're just not even paying attention. Or in Lance's case, they're just in a different country.
Well, he went from Alpine to Aston, and it was the needed credibility Aston was looking for
100%
to really get the project started. And so he lent them that, and then they gave him a car that could compete when everyone else was so far off from Red Bull. It's been a free fall ever since, dude.
100%.
And they haven't hit rock bottom yet. I still think they can fall farther, which should terrify and keep some people up at Aston.
Yeah. It will. And it's either set up for the greatest 2026 of their entire existence because of Adrian Newey, or,
I mean,
it's a wake-up call.
Yeah. They can get worse from here. It's like you haven't hit rock bottom.
Yeah. So Adrian Newey is, this is not even an opinion. He is the greatest car designer of F1 history, period.
He is the Max Verstappen.
Even he doesn't know what the other teams are going to do in 2026.
Mm-hmm.
I heard an interesting fact. We're going to stay on Aston Martin for a little bit. I heard an interesting fact about Yuki's progression into Red Bull. One of the leading things that Helmut Marko let slip. Love when Helmut Marko gets into an interview in any way, shape, or form, because he just lets all of the things we want to know out. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. He let it slip that basically, and I'm paraphrasing here, the reason why Yuki never got the seat before was because Adrian Newey, he crashed into Max in a race when he was in AlphaTauri, and ever since Newey never forgave him because Max lost the race and made Newey's car look bad. So ever since then, Newey's like, I don't want him. He's not mature enough. And he had a lot of weight inside of the Red Bull team. And now that he's gone, it was easier to bring Yuki in.
That's phenomenal.
Not wild. And so now he's over at obviously Aston Martin. Yeah. My question is, how long is it before he strolls into Daddy Stroll's office and says, your son's got to go?
I mean, I would hope that here's what I think. Once he gives the team his car next year, that's truly like his design. And if there's a delta between Alonso's performance in that car and Stroll's performance in that car, I think that's where he says, hey, clearly the car is competitive. You want to go for the championship? Yeah. You got to do the thing you've not done yet.
Yeah. Yeah. And at that point, either Stroll sells or Newey leaves.
Newey's getting paid like $1 bajillion on like a huge contract. Right. I mean, like, yeah.
But you know him. There's got to be at least performance clauses.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah.
You know what contracts are in F1.
They're
useless pieces of paper.
Useless pieces of paper.
I've been waiting to get to this section of the podcast. Rookies.
Talk.
Because yet again, Mercedes has found the next Max Verstappen. And Kimi Antonelli is just on fire. Yeah. He is a progeny. Like we all were curious. We thought he was going to come in, and he skyrockets.
Yeah.
Fastest lap of the entire race, Kimi leads a Grand Prix for the first time ever like a pro.
Yeah.
For many laps.
Yeah.
I think it was like upwards of 11 laps.
He just kept going.
He just kept going.
Is this guy going to come in?
And he was holding a pretty good pace to people on fresh tires a little further back.
Yep.
The guy is great.
Yeah. I mean, this is a moment where you kind of tip your hat to Toto and be like, yeah, you were right.
You were right. P6 finish.
And all of us was like, okay, Toto, you're just trying to like amp up this new rookie because Hamilton's left you and it took you by surprise. And you're trying to like, say that you've got this guy, an ace up your sleeve. And then the performance has been there. And you're like, oh my God, like this guy is actually as good, if not better than Toto said.
Yes.
And also like he's beaten Chuck and Lewis right now.
100%.
In the drivers.
100%.
Which is quite impressive.
That's quite impressive. Quite impressive.
I mean, we're older as a child.
As a child. He's 18. He is 18. Yeah, 100%. The other person that's really impressive to me is Isaac Hadjar. He's number 2 for me this week.
Yeah.
First points in F1. So congratulations, Isaac. Amazing job. P8 in a Racing Bulls. Even more impressive than getting points in F1.
Phenomenal.
Quiet, clinical. He's got the dog in him, though. That's my favorite thing. He's got the dog in him.
Dude, no, he's solid, man. I mean, again, we mentioned him a little earlier, too. He took me by surprise. I was like, wait, who is this guy? We don't watch the junior leagues, and so I didn't really know who he was. But, dude, he's showing up making a splash.
Yeah, for sure.
Solid.
And you know what's cool about Isaac is that he's renewing hope in the Red Bull stable. Because you look back and we've had Alex Albon, great driver, didn't make it at Red Bull. Pierre Gasly, great driver, couldn't grow past AlphaTauri or whatever they called it at the time. I can't remember. Then you had Liam, who did good, got pushed back. You've had Yuki, who's kind of just felt like a placeholder for the last few years. You had Daniel Ricciardo come back. He kind of didn't last very long. He flopped. And so you had Nick DeVries, the tragic case of Nick DeVries. And then now we have Isaac. And I'm like, okay, Red Bull is getting their feet back together.
He's not a Kimi, but
no, he's not a Kimi, but he could be. Maybe he's got a little bit longer of a warm-up. He could progress. And we're seeing some very good raw pace out of him.
And he's not driving a Mercedes.
No.
He's driving one of the Racing Bulls. And so,
Exactly. So, Isaac Hadjar gets number 2 for me. Kimi Antonelli, number 1. Isaac Hadjar, number 2. Number 3 for me is Ollie Behrman. P10 for Haas. Scrappy, opportunistic, not flashy, but scoring points.
Yeah. No, I mean, definitely, I think the order makes a lot of sense. Ollie, a great choice for Haas.
Yep.
To pick him up. I think he's got a long, incredible career ahead of him. He's just a solid racer.
Yeah.
And, again, like we mentioned earlier, he showed up, got points, competed at a really tough track. It was his first time racing this track.
Yeah. Yep.
And so that goes a long way.
Yeah. He's a really good, seems like he's got a really good head on his shoulders.
Yeah.
He seems quite mature for someone so young, especially around the emotions that come along with joining F1. I think that's what's been impressive. I think he's got staying power.
He does.
I think he could. I could see him not just at Haas, but I could see him growing and becoming desirable for other teams as well.
Yeah. Again, like staying power in a way that like Liam hasn't demonstrated, right?
Mm-hmm.
That friggin' Nick DeVries didn't demonstrate. Like this guy's like here.
Exactly.
And I think he will outgrow Haas.
Yep.
Probably sooner than later.
Yes. Unless Haas continues to grow with him.
And they will have to keep him.
100%. 100%. Well, my computer died halfway through the rookies, but we can finish it up. It is Jack Doohan in number 5 for me.
Yep.
Sorry, number 4, followed by Gabriel Bortoleto. It was hard for me to pick between the two because technically Gabriel Bortoleto didn't have any crashes or anything like that. But honestly, I just think it's the hand that he's been dealt with Sauber.
You kind of kick.
Exactly. And I think he was just kind of like, I need to get into F1. I need my foot in the door. He's banking obviously on 2026, but it was a dud for them. Yeah. And then for Jack Doohan, he only finished with one person between him and Pierre Gasly. It's just that the weekend leading into it was just trash, like we already talked about.
Yeah. He had a atrocious weekend. Hoping he can bounce back at the next one. But yeah, rough.
For sure. Okay, so let's shift subjects a little bit here, and let's talk through what is the revolving door of Red Bull drivers. So coming into this weekend, obviously the big story was that Yuki replaces Liam. Liam goes back to Racing Bulls. Isaac and him are now teammates, and Yuki is now there to take it all the way to the top with Max. Obviously,
that's optimistic.
That doesn't happen.
That's incredibly optimistic. It's just it's not going to happen. It's and this goes back to what we talked about last episode, which is my frustration with Red Bull as a team. Is I don't know what they expect of me as a fan.
Right.
It feels like the rules have changed. Last year they kicked Checo. They told Danny in such a bad way, "You're done
in F1.
You're just in F1. You're done." Both of those guys were race winners. Both of those guys, incredible, just personalities in the sport. And so my understanding was, okay, well, they're looking for someone who's going to perform at a higher level. They're looking for better, than Daniel Ricciardo and Checo Perez. Okay, cool. I guess Liam.
Right.
I guess.
I mean, and they sold us the red pill blue blue pill they gave us was like, Liam's got a lot of potential.
Liam's going to be better. So it's like, okay, but this isn't a Kimi Antonelli situation.
No.
You wish
he's not your Max Verstappen.
Mother's life, this was a Kimi Antonelli
and we knew
situation.
that because you didn't put him in the car right away.
Yeah. So now Liam's obviously out and Yuki's in. And so again, happy for Yuki. It was a huge weekend. He showed up, home race, driver of the day. He wasn't the driver of the day. It was Max. But it's Japan and you're the driver. So, okay. And again, like you know, a 10th off from Max in practice and yada, yada, yada. I'm still really frustrated and just utterly confused as a fan because I'm like, wait, when is Yuki going to be good enough? When can I cheer for a result that Yuki brings in a weekend? Because am I supposed to be happy with 12th?
Yeah.
Am I supposed to be happy that the second Red Bull, the other one won the race? Am I supposed to be happy that the other one was in 12th? Can you imagine just Checo would be crucified? Checo was crucified for having a result like that last year, right? So it feels like the rules have just switched and Red Bull's just trying to gloss over it and be like, no, it's, we got it. We figured it out. And you're supposed to be. So I just need Red Bull as a team to give clear expectations to Yuki, to the fans, to like their Red Bull stable of drivers to say like, hey, this is what we're looking for in a second driver. We want someone who's going to be within a position or two of Max, or we want someone who's, getting points. Here's the thing. The only person who was within a position or two of Max that was his teammate was Checo Perez.
Right.
Checo, at his best and his finest, was actually beating Max a couple races of the year. Not much.
Yeah.
But he could actually beat Max on a street circuit. Gasly didn't do that. Albon didn't do that. Liam didn't do that.
The only other person that had done it was Danny Rick.
Yeah, and then Danny Rick left. And so that is where my challenge is with all of this swapping seats at Red Bull and all this musical chairs is like, what do you want me to do here?
Yeah. And we don't know. And the hard part is that it looked really promising in free practice 1, 2, and 3 for Yuki.
It did. Yeah.
Qualifying, obviously, admittedly.
Fourth fastest. Max was third fastest.
100%. He looked like he was right on the heels. He qualifies half a second behind Max in what he admitted was a bad qualifying for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And which, bad qualifying for him or just the bad qualifying for the second seat of Red Bull. It's just the never-ending story right now with that seat. I will say this. I think he's popped into the team. Yuki Tsunoda has popped into the team of Red Bull, and he has found a place where his experience has been able to actually help them. One of the big issues that they had was that Liam just didn't have the experience to give the feedback to the engineers that they needed to improve the car.
Yeah.
And so Yuki comes in, obviously, with 2 weeks to prepare for the Japanese Grand Prix in a brand new team, in a brand new car.
Yep.
and he is given one and one alone a tool to be able to do this. And that tool was the simulator.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it underscores how important that tool has become in F1, and how critical a piece it is for the teams to collect data, for the teams to really like build out on a car. And so Yuki brings that information into the race. He's asked about it. He's asked, hey, like, how did the sim compare to the car? And he mentions like there's differences.
Yeah.
You would anticipate there'd be differences, right? Like,
totally.
But at the same time, like it was the step that prepared him, right?
Correct.
And it's such an incredible and a key part of that tool belt that F1 drivers have. And so that is something that I anticipate Yuki will continue, because you can't really practice.
They all use it. That's the crazy thing to me. All of the drivers, almost all of them. I'm not going to say every single, all 20 of them.
Because I think Stroll's using this.
No.
He's waltzing through the Netherlands in his yacht.
Yeah, exactly.
Clogging up the canals.
Exactly. Dad, I want your yacht in the Netherlands with me. Okay, so the simulator, on track here. The simulator is one of those tools that every single one of the drivers uses.
Yes.
Matter of fact, they're in a triple header right now.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't all have time to go back to a racetrack to go and try anything. Matter of fact, because of the limited cost cap, they generally don't take a car out unless it's dire to practice. Yeah. And so what they do is they hop in these simulators, they adjust them for the tracks ahead, and all of them rely on this technology.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, it's the universal language that all these drivers got to speak, And so I do wonder though, like, let's say like World of Racing, right? Is the simulator experience different if you're in a Ferrari car versus a Red Bull car? Like, I don't know. Like,
apparently it is. Every single one of the cars. Yeah. Our friends at World of Racing, they do every Tuesday after the race, you can go and, you can race an F1 car around Suzuka from the comfort. Well, it's actually not that comfortable because it's an F1 simulator.
Just not as comfy as these
Exactly. Not as comfy as this go guy. You can go and race the track like the drivers do in a car of your choosing.
Yeah.
And awesome. So you can drive a Formula One car around that track at Suzuka. You get qualifying, you get the whole deal. You get your warm-up laps, all of it. We are going to be so bad.
Dude, we're going to be atrocious.
But I'm never going to sit in a real Formula One car.
Yeah.
It's a very small chance that I'll be able to drive one.
Well, I mean, we would have had to start when we were like 3. And
yes.
We've missed that window.
But I can go and pretend and challenge my friends to a race and really feel what it's like to have no ABS, no traction control, and to just try to drive a car at 200 miles an hour around the Suzuka racetrack. What car are you going to pick?
I'm going to pick a Red Bull.
You're going to drive?
I'm going to pick
I'm going to crush you. I'm going to pick McLaren, and I'm going to crush you.
And if I beat you in a Red Bull, I'm just going to take this mic and just drop.
Yeah, you should. I'll call you Max for a week if you beat me in a Red Bull.
I mean, the thing I was thinking about is like, obviously, like, us plebeians, we don't get to actually ever get close to an F1 car, but we would have the same experience as F1 drivers have
100%.
Because this is a technology that they're using. This is integral to the sport. It has been for years. And so like that experience is actually, it's pretty incredible.
100%.
That you can just walk into a place and say, I'm doing the thing that like F1 drivers are doing.
Correct.
It's a pretty rare thing that
you can do that as much as you want.
Yeah.
That's the craziest thing. They'll sit in the simulator for hours. I can go to World of Racing 5 nights a week if I want.
Freaking day there.
Yes, and you would need it. I'll probably be good in about like 20 minutes.
My wife's gonna be like, "What are you doing again?"
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, market research, babe.
But actually,
you should come join us. Come join us at World of Racing. It's gonna be a blast. And if you want to see Ben and I look like absolute idiots, then you should come just for that.
You should, because we will.
Yeah, come race Suzuka Tuesday night.
Sounds great.
Man, it is a bit of me that is so glad that the race is over because it was absolutely boring.
Yeah.
I was literally Googling who's going to drive for Cadillac in 2026.
During the race.
Might be Sergio Perez, might be Danny Ricciardo. And I'm like,
phenomenal.
Let's go. Underdog story
It's
of
gonna
a
be
lifetime.
Incredible.
But alas, it's all over.
It is. We have another race coming up this weekend.
Yes, in Bahrain.
It feels like at this point, we at least know who two of the drivers will be on the podium, unless something goes way sideways. But what's your podium picks for Bahrain?
I think Norris will win. I think Hamilton will be in P2, and I think that Leclerc will be in P3 and Piastri will DNF. That's my wild prediction.
That's optimistic. I mean, I'm gonna go Oscar P1. I'm gonna go Max P2. I'm gonna go Lando P3.
We're both gonna be so wrong. But join us next week and to explore how wrong we really are after the Bahrain Grand Prix. That's all we got time for.
Thanks, folks.